Why Thomas Piketty wants a global wealth tax on multimillionaires. World Inequality Report 2022 to be released on December 7 highlights stark differences between the world's richest and the rest. Top 10% own just 60 to 80% of wealth. Global billionaires' wealth in 2021 represents 3.5% of global household wealth, with the share of the top 0.01% rising from 7% of global wealth in 1995 to 11% in 2021. The findings of the latest World Inequality Report 2022 showed the concentration of wealth. Since the mid-1990s, the richest 1% captured 38% of wealth growth at the global level, the report says. As per the report, the richest 10% own around 60 to 80% of wealth, and the poorest half systematically own less than 5% of wealth. It said that the government intervention is key to tackling inequality with social and tax policies. The bottom 50% of the global population owns just 2% of wealth and 8% of income, while the top 10% of population owns 76% of the total household wealth and captured 52% of total income in 2021 as per the report. The solution. The report, co-authored by economist Thomas Piketty, has suggested developing new forms of wealth taxation on multimillionaires, including a progressive rate of wealth tax with tax rates according to the value of the total amount of wealth owned. One of the proposals we make is that the time is right to develop new forms of wealth taxation to modernize our tax system, to take stock of what has been happening in the economy over the past decades. What has been happening is a higher concentration of wealth, more wealth inequality, and our tax system so far in most countries in the world have not adapted to this. It makes sense when the government are looking for money, looking for how to repay the debt of COVID. We propose a global wealth tax on multi-millionaires, people who own more than $1 million or euros, and this tax is in this proposal is progressive, meaning that the rates are going to be according to the value of the total amount of wealth that you own. Lucas Chancel, co-director World Inequality Lab, said Wednesday during pre-briefing meeting of the report to be released on December 7. In countries where wealth is highly concentrated, more rates on the stock of wealth of very wealthy individuals can deliver high amounts of revenue, he added. The global bottom 50% income shares remain historically low despite growth in the emerging world in the past decades. The share of global income going to top 10% highest incomes of the world level has fluctuated around 50 to 60% between 1820 and 2020. 50% of 1820, 60% in 1910, 56% in 1980, 61% in 2000, 55% in 2020. While the share going to the bottom 50% lowest incomes has generally been around or below 10%. 14% in 1820, 7% in 1910, 5% in 1980, 6% in 2000, 7% in 2020, the report said. The top 0.1% of the global population captures more income than the entire bottom 50%. The average annual wealth growth rates among the poorest half of the population were between 3% and 4% per year between 1995 and 2021. The poorest half of the world population only captured 2.3% of overall wealth growth since 1995. The top 1% benefited from higher growth rates 3% to 9% per year. This group captured 38% of total wealth growth between 1995 and 2021. The share of wealth detained by the world's billionaires rose from 1% of the total household wealth in 1995 to nearly 3.5% today, it said. Income inequality in gender terms. In general terms, the income inequality is sharp, with women workers getting just 1/3 of the total labor income. Women today get just 1/3 of all labor income in the world, whereas gender parity would mean they would get half of that. But currently women earn just 1/3 of all incomes from work, and the situation has increased since the 1990s, but at a very slow rate. If we continue at this rate, we need to wait at least a century to reach gender parity, Chancel said. The second edition of the World Inequality Report will be released on December 7. Thank you.